All right, guys. So I got asked about closing percentage. Now, a little bit about me. At one time, I sold for one of the largest gutter protection companies in the world. You know, they got filter in the name. I was one of the top, I think like 20 reps, 10 reps, something like that. I did an entire year where I ran almost, I think it was almost 1,000 appointments, like 900 and some. I closed about 70% of the people that I sat down with. And why I say it like that is because there's guys that always want to throw these crazy numbers out there. And it's like, number one, it doesn't seem real. And number two, if you didn't track it, why don't you know? So when I said that earlier, it didn't sound very real. I ran 923 appointments, period. I sat with 75% of those people, 76 if you want to round it. So not an incredible sit rate, understandable. And then I closed, out of the people I sat with, I closed 72%, 0.8. And you say, well, why does that matter? Because that should show you, number one, not only what I can do, but how powerful those numbers are. Because if you said, oh yeah, he ran about 1,000 appointments and he closed 70%, well, that means I sold 700 jobs. The reality is I saw maybe, 700 people total, so I lost a third of them. That's a big difference. Maybe 600. I don't even remember what the exact pitch rate was. I have it in my stats, but see the difference there. I lost a big chunk. So you say, all right, 900 appointments. We only sat with 75%. We lost a quarter, so it was about 200 people. So I actually hit 700 appointments. Out of those 700 appointments, I then closed 70%. These numbers all trickle down to a much smaller number than if you just take them on the whole number side. And that's something that a lot of people, particularly in sales, they want to boost those numbers. And it's like, at the end of the day, out of 700 people that I sat and pitched, I probably closed, 450, 500 of them. That is nowhere near as big as if you said, oh, he did 1,000 appointments and he closed 75%. Well, you did a little rounding and you did a little tweaking. Well, now it sounds like I sold 750 plus projects instead of like 450, 500. That's a big difference. And that's the type of things you have to be aware of when you're hiring salespeople. There are salespeople that will embellish all of their numbers. Everything is data. If they can't back up their numbers, then you have to go off your gut feeling, which is not really where you want to be. Also, caveat, if you're going off the numbers or their credential, make sure they're performance numbers. I can't tell you how many companies have called me and they sell technology, picking on you guys, I don't know why it's always the same call. They sell some sort of solution that's so great, it should sell itself, da 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 da. And then they say, well, Nick, we don't really sell that much of it. And I'm like, well, if it should sell itself, then obviously something's a disconnect because you're calling me and I don't understand. If it sells itself, why are you calling me? Think about it. But my point is, I ask them that question, why are you calling me? And they'll say, we need help with sales. We need to close more deals, or we need to do this. We need more top line revenue. We need more profitability. And a lot of the times, there's three kind of issues with that. And that their numbers they see aren't real because the numbers in the bank are low. So if they're closing all this deal, creating all this revenue, why are they not making all this money? And that is, my friends, the secret to everything selling, is it does not matter who's the best salesman, who's the most profitable salesman, who's the most consistent salesman or woman, it doesn't matter. Who's the most consistent, who's the most predictable, and then who has the correct process. Normally, there is a process that already exists for selling your product, period. Whether it's someone at your company, someone at someone else's company, or someone else in the industry, they have a process that works, and they do it regularly. You need to figure out that process, or you need to hire someone like me, and I'll figure out that process, or I'll make it for you of what to do and how to do it, so you can track those numbers, and they can be accurate. And then the number in the bank will match what your sales numbers are telling you. I can't tell you, it's amazing to me, and this is something that I've seen just in my career. I've had so many people who are like, oh man, I sold $3 million in revenue. And I'm like, awesome, you make 300, 400, 500 grand? Like, more. No, I made like 150. I'm like, man, your commission structure must be whack. No, we get 10%. I can do basic math. You just said you sold $3 million of whatever widget and they pay you 10%. Well, you should make it 300 grand. Like, that's just how that works. They don't tell you the whole story. You know, they didn't all get, you know, installed or approved or whatever, or they had to cut the deals way down to nothing. So there's no profitability in them. So yeah, they brought in $3 million in revenue, but if nobody's making any money, what's the point? I'd rather sell no revenue and make no money. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, money's money, you know, 5% profit, da da da. I'm not here for that. I'm here for people that want to win. People that want to scale, people that want to grow their business, salespeople that want to have nice homes, drive nice cars, have nice things, go nice places, change their life. If you are happy with just being regular, then all those numbers, inflate them all you want because they don't matter because you're still fucking broke. And that is why people work with me, because the realization happens that if all the numbers look good, but your bank account sucks, those numbers aren't accurate. So I can tell you, when I sold $2 million of home improvements, I made $400,000. I made 20%, but I sell a lot and I sell high and I close them now. That's a little bit different. Back up a few years, I sold $1 million, I barely made 100 grand. But I sold $1 million and I made 100 grand. And the company that I worked for was pumped to have me. Had another guy in my office, sold 1.5 million. He made 75 grand, and every week, this guy had to sit in on extra training. He didn't do it, but he had to sit in on it. Because all of his numbers, if you put us on paper, you'd be like, oh, this guy's a stronger seller. He has a higher volume. He has a better closing ratio. And then we go all the way over to the column that really matters, profit. Did the company win when you did what you did? And they found out that I made like triple the amount of money this guy made for the company. Not for myself, for the company. It's all for the company. Whether you own it or someone else, the only thing that's going to matter is, did the company win? Because if you don't have a place to work, you're not getting paid. If you don't have a place to give you leads, appointments, infrastructure, you know, people to help you close the deals, it doesn't matter. So you have to know those numbers inside and out, and they have to be real. Because if they're not real, they paint a picture that's like, oh my God, this guy's an amazing salesperson. Happens all the time in tech. These people get hired, they make $150,000 like base salaries. And then it's like, well, you know, the OTE should be 400 or 500 grand. Well, this person's never made that kind of money ever. You know, I mean, I hate to say it, look at them. They don't have the standard to make that kind of money. And then they throw these numbers out there at you and you're like, let's dig a little deeper. And then upon review, it's like, oh, he was on a team that did $10 million. Well, if it's a team of 10, that means everybody sold $1 million, you know, whoop-de shit. Ooh, you know, big deal. Or he's on a team of 20. So it's like, you don't even know what he contributed to that growth. He could have done nothing and the rest of the team's superstars. But they'll sell you on that. They'll be like, oh, I was part of the, you know, this buyout, and I was part of this group and we did all these sales. But what did you do? What was your job in that system? Always ask those questions, because those numbers can be influenced. They can be exploited. They can be exaggerated. You must know your numbers. No.